one. Well, she went from a waitress at a sushi bar to an actress with just a Polaroid picture. Get ready to hear stories from Twilight, the insane training that it took to become Victoria, deep love of storytelling, and what it keeps her actually learning to keep doing this thing called acting and meeting fans at Nashville WarCon. Rachelle Leverve. Did I say it right?
No, not at all, but nobody does. Rachelle is right. You were close. Lefevre. I always tell people that if you ignore the R, just Rachelle Leverve.
See, I wrote it out. Who told me Lefevre? Where are you? I knew it.
It's okay, Jason. I forgive you.
He's like, oh, I know her. It's fine. I can call her whatever.
He does. He didn't lie to you about that. He does know me.
Then he should know how to say your name.
Yeah. To be fair, we didn't use our last names a lot, did we? No, that's it.
So how do you guys know each other?
I did a TV show. I did one season. I only went for one season, but I did a show on Fox called Proven Innocent, which was loosely based on the Amanda Knox story. And Jason is friends with the writer and came to set, and we worked together a little bit. Small world.
Yes. Well, we have to dive right in and figure out how you went from a waitress at a sushi bar.
Okay, but not until you tell me if that Starbucks is nearby.
You know what? I got lost going to it. It's fun.
It's a drive?
Yes. It's not that far,
okay.
But I'm sure there's one closer.
Okay.
Because other people have had Starbucks. Mine was probably like in a different state, and I was late. It was a whole thing.
Aren't you guys so glad you're here right
now? And it's from the sporting episode of the game. So were you trying to get into acting? Everybody, waits tables and starts in the restaurant business, and then all of a sudden you're an actress.
Yeah,
Not
no,
exactly.
I really wanted to do it. My dad, who may he rest in peace, who was like in his 40s when he had me, so older, used to say I was a ham, which is a generational thing. He'd be like, "You're such a binky, you're such a ham."
What,
I've always
Binky?
been Binky.
Aw.
Binky Smilington Beans from New Orleans. It's my childhood nickname. I don't think I've ever said that. But yeah, so Binky, you've always been such a ham. And the stories they like to tell me are, I saw Annie in the theaters, and I think I was like 3 or 4 maybe. And I think it had to be like a re-release or something. I don't think I was that age when the original was in the theaters, but my dad said, clearly I had been like, up late and heard my parents watching Johnny Carson, because there was the scene where Annie comes at the top of the stairs, Daddy Warbucks gives her the dress, and she comes to the top of the stairs in the dress, and apparently in a crowded theater I yelled out, "Here's Annie!"
Yes!
And my dad went, "Fuck, it's an actor." So yeah.
Did you ever get to play Annie like in a play?
No.
What?
No, never did. I can't sing.
That doesn't seem
like
right.
I can sing because everyone can sing. I just don't sing in a way that people ask me to do it.
That's why they have auto-tune and
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's sad to think, but I guess I probably could. I guess anybody could be a pop star if they wanted to be, right? As long as you never had to sing live.
Well, and even then.
That's fair.
There's magic, in the movies and also music. So from New Orleans?
Nope.
Oh,
my dad just made it up.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think it just rhymed, and he just came out one day, and yeah.
So,
Binky.
What made you want to be an actress besides Annie? I mean, you're like 3. You don't really know yet.
Yeah, I think obviously just had a big personality, so there was that. I didn't know it was a job or anything. I just, was loud and had a big personality. And then I was always pretending to be. I was an only child. Now the oldest of 4. I have 3 sisters from, modern marriages and things like that. But was an only child, and I was always pretending to be, well, when you're an only child and you play alone, you play all the parts, right? So that was the first thing, was I would play all the parts in whatever I was imagining. And then also I was always imagining being someone else somewhere else, because I know a lot of actors say this, and it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. I come from, I don't know if the term broken home really means anything, because it's just sort of a catch-all, but my polite way of honoring my parents is I say I was raised by wolves. So I was being raised by wolves and wanted to be somewhere else.
Did you change that later to vampires?
Yeah, right? No, exactly. Yeah, I was raised by vampires. No, that would be insulting to vampires. I like vampires. And so I think I just found out at some point, I must have been in elementary school, and I just realized it was a job. I was like, oh my God, this thing I'm doing where I'm pretending to be someone else somewhere else, people are getting paid to do this. That's a job. And I don't remember having that moment, like literally. I just know that, like, I don't remember a time when I didn't want to be an actor. Once I knew it was a job, that was it.
So did you start early then, or like school plays, musicals? Not
Yeah.
musicals because you can't sing.
No, although I went to theater school and I sang well enough, like I could carry a tune well enough that when I went to theater school, just outside of Boston, and I was in, we did Jesus Christ Superstar, and I can't remember the other one, but I was like in the chorus for that. But yeah, I went to theater school. I took acting classes, workshops, anything I could get my hands on. The school play, I took it really seriously. Apparently, it was really funny to watch. Like I was like the 6-year-old. I played the Wicked Witch and Snow White, and all the other kids were sort of. To hear my parents, you say like all the other kids were sort of putzing around, and I was really mad at them because they weren't taking it seriously.
I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're still taking it very seriously.
Yeah, here I am. So
here you are. So who scooped you up from the restaurant waitress business?
yeah, there was this producer, and sorry if you've heard this story, but I was waitressing, and you know how you like do the rubber band and the paper on the chopsticks, so they stick together so little kids can use them. So there's a producer, and he was there with his wife and his little kid, whose name I think was Zach. But anyway, so I was showing him how to I was making the chopstick thing for him. And then as they were leaving, the dad, who happened to be a producer, was overheard me telling the hostess, just hanging out at the door because it was slow, that I wanted to be an actor. And so he stopped me and he was like, I'm a producer, I have a show, if you want to audition. And it was 2 lines and I didn't get it. He was like, I'm going to have a casting director call you. I went, I read the 2 lines, I didn't get it. And I just thought, I missed my chance, that's it. And then she called me back a couple weeks later and she was like, so I know this is weird, but like I'm casting this kids show and I think you'd be perfect for the lead. Do you want to come in? Or the female lead, as they call it, which fuck that, right? And so, do you want to come read for the female lead? Sure.
So you're like the co-host.
Yeah, exactly. And she was like, it was Big Wolf on Campus. Everybody's seen that. And it was for Fox Family. And she said, okay, well, just, bring in your resume and your headshot. Because I hadn't had to give anything the first time because it was like 2 lines and it was just, she was doing someone a favor. So I just walked in, said the 2 lines and left. She was like, all right, but like, it's serious, it's producers and everything. So like, you gotta bring your headshot and your resume. And I said, I have neither of those things. And she said, well, just go and, print out. I had to go to some cafe and, use their computer and type out. I made up a resume. I put all my theater stuff on it and made it sound like I was more legit than I was. I made up this resume because fake it till you make it. That's a real thing, right? It's got to be somebody. Why not you? Don't get in your own way. Somebody asks you if you can ride a horse, just say yes. And then if they cast you, go learn to ride a horse. This is how it works. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Anybody who says otherwise is lying. They're just trying to take the job that you want. So and then I said, I don't have a headshot. I can't get one in time. I don't know what to do. She said, I'll take a Polaroid of you when we get here. So I went in with my little, the equivalent of like a Kinko's printed resume, and she handed them my Polaroid, and they called me back, and I read twice, and then I got it. And then people asked me how to get an agent, and I'm like, I don't know, because I went shopping for an agent. I called up agencies, and I was like, hi, I just booked the lead in a show. Do you want to represent me? And so I got to pick an agent.
Yeah, people never realize, like, do you need representation before you try out for something, or how do you get the audition? And I mean, these days, people are just sending in videos from wherever. You don't have to be there in person, so it's changed a lot.
Yeah, and I think also, like, there's never really been like one way to do anything, right? Like whatever it is you want to do, everybody who's doing it has a different story about how they got there. Like I understand there are certain things that are straightforward. I understand if you want to be a lawyer, you go to law school, right? But if you are creative, if you're trying to be an artist of some kind, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're, trying to if you're building a business, if you're, whatever it is, if you are doing something that isn't in this sort of traditional track, in this traditional container, it's great to ask people how they did it, and, advice is great, and listening to other people's stories. But I think the thing that people forget is you literally get to make it up. Like you get to do it in the way that works for you. I heard someone say once, go where your enthusiasm is, which I really loved, because it's like, if you're enthusiastic about it, that's where the creative juices flow, when we're like excited about something. So whatever idea about how to get there excites you. So if taking classes is exciting to you, take acting classes, take music classes, whatever it is. But if that sounds like it's going to be a slog and you don't want to do that, but you're really excited about making content at home and putting it on YouTube, then like do that. The most important thing is, I think in anything, is do the thing you're actually going to do. Right? Because a lot of us I have so many things I sit around and go, like, I have a screenplay in my head, I have a book in my head, I haven't done those things, because my enthusiasm is not there yet.
I can see that. The idea's there, but then you have to go do it.
Yeah, and we have to be honest with ourselves about the things we're going to do and the things we're not going to do, right? The idea might be great, but it belongs to the person who actually does it, right?
So let's talk about Twilight.
Okay.
First of all, I was like, Victoria's going to be there? Hold on, wait a second. No. So I had to tell Matt, I'm like, you don't understand, this is very awesome. The Twihard, so I'm an older Twihard, but whatever. So
the Twihards are all older now. The OG Twihards are all older now. The movie came out like 80 years ago.
I know. So like I'm 100, it's fine.
I'm 100. I told people I'm 157.
We are vampires. So what was that audition process like? You didn't bring in your Kinko's resume, I'm guessing.
No, I had done some stuff, but I got the audition last minute the day before. I've told this story a few times, so if you've heard it, I'm so sorry. I'm going to tell it for those of you who haven't heard it, and I'm going to speed it up for those of you that have. Try to
I think he's the only one that's heard it, so that's
fine. Yeah, so I got the audition 24 hours before, so I got it like, at noon, and it was at noon the next day. So I ran to, you guys remember Barnes and Nobles? So I ran to the nearest Barnes and Nobles, and because Jeff Bezos wasn't hell-bent on world domination yet. So I ran to Barnes and Nobles, I got the book, I read it literally through the night. I just read all of Twilight. Somewhere in there I managed to learn the lines. There weren't that many. And then I went to the audition, and this is like when I tell people like trust yourself, go where your enthusiasm goes, get out of your own way, just trust yourself. This is what I mean. So before the audition, I just, they're barefoot in the book. And everybody was wearing shoes because you park your car, you walk 100 miles across the lot, you give your thing to security, and then you walk down long, intimidating hallways, and then you sit in some waiting room, and we're all doing this in shoes. But when they called my name at the very last second, I just went, well, wait a minute, and I just very quickly took my shoes and socks off, and I went in barefoot, and it was the first thing Catherine Hardwick said to me. She said, "You're barefoot." And I said, "Well, yeah, Victoria's barefoot." And she just smiled at me in a way that I was like, okay, this is mine to lose. Like, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like she's rooting for me, And then I did the audition, and there was it's not really safe to like fully do, but I don't, like I said, I'm 157 now, but like there was a chair, and so I kind of dragged the chair over because there's a description of her as like sort of like prowling, perching, whatever it's called. And so while I was doing the scene, I just like randomly got the instinct to climb. So I was like, she's like feral. So I'm like in the middle of my audition, and I'm like climbing on this chair, and I'm like going like this. And then it says she pounces, and there was no table here. And so without planning it, I just pounced. I just threw myself off the chair, and I just went, ah! And the casting director who was behind the camera went, fucking hell. And Catherine was like, what's your name again?
And you said Victoria.
Yeah. And she just looked at me, and she was like, we'll see you soon. But then I still had to fight for it because the studio wanted someone else. They wanted someone who was a name, and I worked, but I wasn't a name. So my manager found out from the casting director that Catherine was trying to hire me, and the studio wouldn't let her because they were trying to get someone else because they wanted a name. And so I wrote Catherine a 4-page letter. I said, if I write her a letter, can you get it to her? Not an email, a fucking letter. And so, sorry, I swear, I apologize. There's children in this room.
We've heard so many words today already.
I'm so sorry. I was, in fact, raised by wolves. Please try to remember that. They did the best they could. They loved me to the best of their abilities. Their abilities were limited. And so I wrote her a 4-page letter about why it should be me, why I loved vampires. I read Bram Stoker's Dracula when I was 14. I read it twice in a row. I loved it so much. I loved the lore. I just nerded out. Because I love science fiction, fantasy, all that. So I just nerded out for 4 pages on why it should be me, just shamelessly. I had an acting mentor who said to me, If people ask you if you're any good, say yes. Like there's this thing we do, right? We're like, so like oh, I'm a singer. Are you any good? I mean, I guess it's like
I don't really know.
like, well, if you want to be a singer, then you're either good or you're not, right? Like you're either delusional or you have a reason that you want to be a singer. You're talented and you believe in yourself. So if somebody asks you, "Are you any good?" Say yes, I am, because you don't know who you're talking to, but you're always talking to you, right? Like you always hear you. So you need to put that out into the universe. You're always, just remember that you are always hearing you. So answer the way that you would want someone to be talking about you, right?
But sometimes that's the most difficult thing, even just a regular job interview, to try to sell yourself. Like, well, I mean, I haven't really done that, but similar things, and
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you get the call that you were second, not first. Not
So-
that happened to me this week. I'm just saying.
I know that you want to ask me more questions and stuff, but I really like I like just like chats. Like I want you guys to just jump in here.
I don't have
please do.
Free questions.
This awesome, I worked on Big Wolf on campus. I worked with an actor named Rob DeLeo who completely solved, thank God, very early in my career on my first job, solved auditions for me. And it works for job interviews too. It really works for just about anything where you feel like you're sort of being assessed or evaluated for your worth in some way. By the way, your self-worth is never on the table, it's just a job. He said, we always imagine that they're like not on our side, right? Like the other person is sitting, we imagine, even, and they look like it often too, like, what do you got? Are you good enough? But truthfully, what's happening is that person has to fill this position. That person's job is to hire the right person for this job. If they don't find that person, they're in trouble with someone else, right? Like, why didn't you find anyone? Why couldn't you find me the right actor? Why couldn't you hire the right person? Why couldn't you find the right, like assistant for this position, whatever it is? So that person, even though they might not look like it, is actually rooting for you because they want to hire you, because they want to move on with the other things on their to-do list. They don't want to spend the rest of their life trying to find the right person for this role or the right person for this job. So they actually want you to be good. And that's what he said to me. He said, you walk in and they're all going to look like they're judging you. But what they're actually doing is worrying about their own asses. They're actually worrying about themselves. Oh shit, I hope I find the right person. Oh, I hope I cast this right. I hope I do a good job. I hope I hire the right person. If not, I'm in trouble with the person above me. Mm-hmm. And so they're actually in exactly the same position you are. So you're actually on the same team. So he said, just walk into every interview, every meeting, every audition. Just walk in with the energy of, hey, I know you're trying to cast this job. I know you're trying to cast this role. That's stressful. I can do it. I'm here. You're welcome. Give it to me. I'll take care of it. You can go do other things. Just go in like you're there to just make their lives easier and better. That's it. That was the hack.
I love it.
Screaming.
I love it. I'm recording this, so I'm not going to write it down, but that is very good.
Thanks, Rob.
So let's talk about the set of Twilight.
Sure.
Was it just green screen and you saw nothing, and it was, or did they actually to work with?
No, we were in the Pacific Northwest where it rains all the time. It was gray and cold and rainy, and we were soaking wet and freezing. And
did you get sick?
A lot of us got sick. I can't remember if I got sick. I either did or I'm shocked that I didn't.
Or you went full in and got sick.
A lot of us. Yeah. No, a lot of us were like, we were there with like, we'd have like hot chocolates and the first one especially, like they shot it like an indie film. Like we didn't have the budget. So we're all out there like the vampire baseball scene where it's raining for 2 days and we're all out there trying to look, their Cullens are trying to look like, gods, and everybody's trying to look beautiful, and my hair is supposed to be curly and like, and we look like drowned rats and we're shivering. And that uncontrollable quiver in your chin you get when you're so cold that you're like hypothermic, and then they would say action and you just had to have control. Like I can't do that in real life, but something happens when you say action. I can do fucking anything. like
I'm out of a chair.
Yeah, like I'm afraid of heights, but I've like jumped off super high things or whatever. Like I can't do that in my regular life. But if you're rolling, if there's a camera and you say action, I just jump. And so we were all just like we're stealing ourselves. And then between looking like vampire gods we would all be in this little tent, this like warming tent, like the kind of thing you would see at a flea market with like a sad little heater in it, and we were all just there like this. And they'd be like, okay, go, and you'd come out and you'd be like,
action, we're ready now.
and then you'd get cut, you'd be back in the tent, like.
So, any favorite memories from filming Twilight? We all have our favorite scenes, our favorite characters. What's your favorite?
Well, I didn't used to tell this story because they were still young and it was too close, but I tell it now because it's funny and I tease them. I tease Jackson and Kellen, and I haven't seen Rob in a very long time, but last time I saw him, I said something like I was like 10 years older than the Cullen kids. And so Elizabeth Reeser, who played Esme, we used to joke, and Peter Facinelli, we used to joke that we were like the den mothers. Like we had all these kids running around. They were like 17, 18. Kristen was 17 when we started the movie and turned 18 while we were filming. They were like children as far as we were concerned. And they weren't allowed to drink yet, but you know, I don't know, if you're making a movie, people let you do anything, which is silly, but they do. And so there was always, you know, so they would drink too much. So my joke is like, one of my favorite movies is like, I tease them now. I'm like, oh, Jackson, hey, Kellen, what's up? I used to put you to bed.
I held your hair back while you puked.
Like really, like I never had to hold anybody's hair back when they puked. But I had to break up, I'll never say who, I'll never say what, but I had to break up a couple of sort of sad love triangle, kind of weepy in the hallways of the hotel thing, where it's like, okay, like I understand he likes you both. You go to bed over here, you go to bed over here. Or we'd be in a restaurant and I'd be like, you know, Jackson would order something, I'd be like, don't give him any more bourbon, please don't. Water, tell him it's vodka, he won't know.
He won't know. Some lime in it, it's fine.
And so those memories are only funny now because the movie was actually like, it was so successful, and those guys went off to make, you know, 16 other movies, and they're grown-ups now with children, and you know, they're wonderful people and make good choices. So I think that's kind of funny now. And then my other one is that Eddie, who was doing the same thing he just did for Mr. Terrific, which is like not eating any sugar and working out and making sure that, you know, because he had that jacket with no shirt, so he'd been hungry.
Kristen, wait.
Eddie who played Laurent.
Okay, he's
Mr. Terrific. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
And so I have actually at my table, I have this photo and it's him and me, and my joke today has been like, look, it's me and Mr. Terrific.
Oh my gosh.
But so he was just like starving. He hadn't had a carbohydrate in I don't know how long. He was getting in shape. And so the minute we were done with when they told him, they were like, hey, no more shots of you in that leather jacket with no shirt on. We're done with that. We were filming in Portland and we went to Voodoo Donuts. And have you seen the size of these things? These Voodoo Donuts? They're like this
big as your head.
So we each got a half dozen, like a whole box worth. And we ate 2 of them standing there in Voodoo Donuts. And then we ate the third one walking back to the hotel. And then this was after we'd had brunch, by the way. We ate a full brunch and then had 3 Voodoo Donuts. And then we got back to the hotel and I was like, I'm just gonna go back to my room and sit and watch TV with these donuts. And he was like, me too. And I remember sitting in my hotel room with the box, just like not being able to stop watching some crappy movie that was on during the day, whatever it was. Thank God for it because it was entertaining, and eating this donuts. And I picked up my hotel phone and I was like, yeah, Eddie, put me over to Eddie DeFeggy. Hey Eddie, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm watching TV eating these donuts. And I don't know, it's just like we were actually friends. Like my best memories of making the movie were the friendship moments where we all just kind of like took care of each other.
That's really good because you hear so many stories from sets that are like there's drama, and aside from the, you know, the love triangles.
Yeah, we had some drama, but none of it was like people trying to hurt other people. None of it was people being actual assholes. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the drama we had was because like everybody was 17. Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't look into the story, and I don't know if you want to tell them why weren't you in the other ones.
Oh, I wish I was allowed to tell you. I'm not allowed to tell you. The reason I wasn't in the other ones
is
because
play charades and try to figure it out.
Yeah, right. The reason I wasn't in the other ones wasn't up to me. It really wasn't. And what I think I'm allowed to say, and what my sort of line now is like, Well, because corporations are assholes and they do whatever they want.
That could be true for anything.
Yeah,
honestly.
But I mean, that even that sort of is like not exactly right, because it makes it sound like I'm bitter, and I'm more just having a sense of humor about it. Like, I'm actually not bitter about it. It just, like, because it wasn't personal. Like, I know I did a good job in the sense that, like, I did the job they asked me to do. I was a good employee. I was polite to everyone. I didn't make trouble. You know, like, it wasn't like they were like, oh, like, we got to get rid of her. It was, as far as I knew, I was in the third one. I actually did the chemistry reads with um, Riley. So I read with Xavier and I'm trying to remember all the actors, but like that's how much I was going to be in the third one. Like David Slade, who directed the third one, David was like called me up or had somebody call me and was like, "Can you come read with the three guys we're thinking about casting to be your love interest in this movie? Because I just feel like I need to see you with them." And I was like, "Sure." So I went and did a chemistry read, and then
so there was no contract per se, like you have this many Twilight movies. It was one at a time.
I plead the fifth. Yeah. So and then just got a call that it just wasn't happening, and things happened. And but I'm a fan of saying to people like, you guys will get this, because like life happens to everybody, right? Like if we pass this microphone around, everyone in this room has a story of like more than one thing, I'm sure, that happened to you, right? It wasn't your choice. It happened to you, and it was a defining moment in your life, or it was a big moment. And then time passes, and my saying for it is like, it's amazing how quickly things get relegated to the shelf of things that happened. I call it the shelf of things that happened. Like the way that in some apothecary in some science fiction, like in Harry Potter, where they would like have all the globes with all the like spells and all the things. It's like you have all these, you know, where Dumbledore puts his memories. Like you have all these things that happen, and then you just have to keep living your life. And if you stay in the present moment, that thing is in the past. And so it's on the shelf of things that happened, but you don't have to live in it, right? It only defines you if you're still living in it. So it was really painful. I hated it. I cried a lot. Um, and then the best thing that happened was that it happened during the time of the internet. Because if Twitter had not existed, and this is where I actually get a little bit emotional, because I'm so full of gratitude. Like I was 10 years older than everybody else, but I was still just a kid. I was like 31 or something. I still, now I look back, I'm like, oh, I was still a kid. Um, and it felt heartbreaking, and I felt powerless, and I felt like, you know, it was humiliating. Like I told my friends, I was like, hey, I got fired like in public, right? Like I didn't just get fired like where my colleagues knew. Like right. I got fired in front of, you know, the billion people that had seen the first two movies.
The Twilight, and then they're like, where did you go?
Right. And people going, what did she do?
Right.
Right. Or like, you know, their thing about like, oh, scheduling conflict. Sure, like I didn't want to be in the third one. I went out and booked a different movie. Like there were just all these things that I couldn't go into everyone's living room and defend myself, which is what happens to me when, and I think a lot of people, when I think someone's talking about me behind my back, like I feel like I'm back in high school where I'm going to be like, guys, it's not possible that I was in that closet with 7 guys. Every high school has this rumor. The closet was small. You're idiots. Why do we do this to women? Right? Like I wanted to, this is the example I choose because apparently this is like still a thing we do to women, unfortunately, in high school and probably beyond. But I wanted to be in everybody's living room, like explaining myself and defending myself, because it was humiliating. It was embarrassing. And the thing that makes embarrassment thrive, and the thing that for me turns it into shame, is when I can't control the narrative, when I can't use my own voice, when I feel like I've been silenced. That is where the shame starts to grow. And so the thing that happened was I was about to spiral into that place and trying to use all my wisdom, and all my wisdom wasn't working because it doesn't work on yourself. And then Twitter existed. And all of a sudden, in my Twitter feed were fans. Like the same people that I thought were in their living rooms talking shit about me being an idiot for not being in the third one or getting myself fired. Instead, those people took to the internet, to Twitter or blogs or whatever it was, like, you know, and said things like, this is wrong. This is a crime. This is our Victoria. And people cared. And I had the privilege to know that people actually cared that I had been fired. And that was really, really meaningful to me. Like, I wish I had been able to do it all by myself, just knowing I was good enough and knowing my own self-worth, but I wasn't. It wasn't that moment. I got myself so far, and then the internet blew up with, and all the headlines I saw and all the things my friends sent me were about people caring that I was replaced and not liking it. And that felt really, I felt like I was being held by an entire community that I didn't know.
Justified that you were like, see this,
Yeah.
So,
that people took the time to express themselves. Like, for people who did that, to know that I read them all. They got me through it.
So then you pick yourself up, and what do you do next?
I kept auditioning, and then I kept working, because that's what I wanted to do. And they got to take that job, but they didn't get to take anything else.
Yeah.
So I just kept working.
Yeah. I think we have questions probably
all right.
in the audience before we all get too emotional. But this one time, let me tell you.
I don't know how to make small talk. I'm sorry. I'm like, you sit across from me at dinner and you're like, so the weather. And I'm like, do you believe in God? Do you get along with your mom? When did your first pet die? Did you cry? Are you over it?
What's your birthday? What's your sign?
Yeah.
Do we have questions?
I don't have a question. I'm just super motivated.
Yeah.
I know,
Awesome.
right? This has been like a very
Thank you.
uplifting panel. Like, all three of our panels so far this morning have been full of goodness, full of hope. I've seen Superman twice already, so I'm full of hope. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love the like, I'm fans of things too, right? I'm fans of a lot of things. So there are people that I see and I'm like, oh my God, it's like
tell us.
Oh my God. So I was like the biggest West Wing fan. So I've humiliated myself in front of many cast members from the West Wing. Alice and Janney being one, Bradley Whitford. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and at the last convention, there were a couple people from Harry Potter there, and I made my agent Lucas, who was so sweet, and I love, went and got me an autograph from one of the Harry Potter. Lucas was like, is this for your kids? And I was like, no, it's for me. I've seen those movies 15 times each. But yeah, so like, I'm a fan of a lot of things. And what I don't love is this dividing line that we create, this like false hierarchy that we don't all have the same thing in common. Like, there's no reason that it couldn't be any of you up here with this microphone. Like, if I gave you a microphone and I asked you questions about your life and I asked you what you learned so far and I asked you to tell me your story, we would all learn something. We would all feel motivated. We would all feel connected, right? It's just that I do this job that happens to be a job where people give me the microphone instead of someone else,
So there you go.
Anybody want to share their story?
Like, now that we're sharing,
raise your hand if you survived your childhood. There it is.
There we go.
See, like, that's the thing about it, right? It's like so many differences we focus on, but like, if we all sat down and talked about our parents and the childhood we survived, we'd be best friends in 10 minutes, right? Like, that's, there's this teacher I really like said, every single person on the planet, if you knew them, no matter how evil, no matter who you think they are, what they've done, every single person on the planet, if you sat down with them for 10 minutes and you heard their story, you would cry with them. And if we can remember that, I think we move through the world with a little more grace.
And sometimes laughing until we cry.
Yes. Yes. And my favorite, crying until you laugh.
Yes.
Because there is nothing better than that. That like horrible, wretched, soul-crushing sobs. They like come out of you, and then all of a sudden your friend says something, or you look at your friend or whoever you're with, and all of a sudden you're laughing and you remember that you're gonna live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you working on these days? Besides motivational speeches.
Yeah. I also, I like the sound of my own voice. I admit it. We all have an ego. I did 3 indie films last year that I'm really hoping will see the light of day. One of them is a really sweet coming-of-age story called Ethan Bloom, about a Jewish kid who wants to do the Catholic sacraments instead of having a bar mitzvah. And it's actually really funny and sweet. And then I did one called Someone Saved My Life Tonight, which was directed and written by Anthony Pizzo, who, if you are a sports movie fan, which I am, he wrote Hoosiers and Rudy. So I freaked out, and they did not believe me that I was a big Rudy fan. And so on set, I got challenged, and I did the speech. You know, you're 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing, 2 years, you won with the greatest football team. So I did that, and I really hope that comes out. I'm proud of it. And then I did another movie with ingenue Ellis Taylor, who, if you saw King Richard, she was nominated for an Academy Award for playing Will Smith's wife in that film. She's a force of nature. And I did a movie opposite her, which was a period piece based on a book, and that's called Liz Here Now. And it's about a nanny in the 60s who saves her saves the children she's looking after from an abusive mother. Turns out my childhood was research.
What? You're like, I am this part. I know this role. It's me.
So no joke. I read that script. My manager sent it to me. I had an audition. I read the script, and she said, "Did you like it?" And I said, "This is my part." And she was like, "Oh, that's great. So you liked it. So you resonated." I said, "No, you don't understand. You're going to hire me. This is my part. My whole life and all my therapy and all my experiences and I know this woman. This is my part." And I made the audition tape, and I think I did each scene in 1 take. And my friend who usually makes my tapes with me was like, "Wow, that was fast." And I was like, "Yeah, because this is my part." And then I sent the audition tape, and I didn't hear anything for weeks, which is really unusual. Usually you hear no really quickly. And I didn't hear anything. And my manager was like, "Yeah, we haven't heard anything." And I said, "That's so weird, because they're going to hire me, because this is my part." And she was like, "Okay." And then sure enough, like a week after that, the casting director reached out to my manager. My manager called me, and she was like, "Oh, so you have a callback. You have a Zoom audition with the director." And I was like, "Yeah, so he can hire me." Can't wait. And so then I did the audition. And, I read, and he gave me some notes. You're doing it on Zoom, which is so weird because your computer is perched up on a stand, and you're like doing all this emotional whatever to my MacBook, which is so bizarre. But I did it, and then he was like, "Wow," he was like, "That was great. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch." And I didn't say it because I didn't want to be an ass, and in my head, he said, "Well, thank you so much. We'll be in touch." And I was like, "Yeah, when you hire me, because this is my part." And then they hired me, and it was the only job I've ever booked where I wasn't surprised. And I think that should be like my new thing. I feel like I'm like every script I should just read and be like, "Why not me?" Like this is my part.
This is my life now.
Yeah, this is my life now. I'm in my abusive mother era.
And crazy how that probably would resonate with many of us. You think it was written about you, or you, and it's someone else's story.
Yeah.
Or made up, and like, no, it's not made up. This was real.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of fiction out there, right? Like, there really isn't.
No.
Everybody's got a version of something. That's what I like about science fiction. I watch movies about vampires, and I'm like, "Oh, I relate to that. I get that." Like, I felt that way about Victoria. I was like, "Oh, I know her. I know who that is."
So is there like a superhero movie you'd like to try out for sometime? What character?
Oh my God. I mean, unfortunately, because, we're ageist. I hope I'm wrong, because there's still women, my age and older who do play amazing action heroes, but I have always wanted to play some kind of action hero. I really want the job where they hire you a personal trainer, you work out for 8 hours a day, you only eat the food that comes in the box, you learn to fight off multiple assailants. That's the job I want. I have that job sort of now because I have 2 small children. If you're a parent, that joke's for you.
They take your food, they make you run after them.
I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. I know how to just eat the food that I'm allowed to eat and fight off multiple assailants. But yeah, that is I always wanted to play Lara Croft,
Mm-hmm.
Not in the way that I think I could play Lara Croft, but just in that type of
I can see you as a Black Widow.
Right, like that would have been so much fun. Like, that's
I can totally see that. I
Yeah.
can see Rogue. I'm just casting you for what other. No one's casting anything. I'm just throwing the ideas
great.
out there.
Those are my parts.
There you go. That is you now. Does anybody else have any questions? I know we have to stay on time, so what time is it?
Bringing up like typecasting, is there anything that you went in for that you thought like wasn't your type that went well for you? And what did you learn about your range?
That's such a good question. Yes, there are things that I went out for where I surprised myself. Where I was just like, well, they're never gonna, like, I'm not right for this. They're never gonna hire me. And in a way, that was actually liberating, because if you think that you don't have a chance, you like, the stakes are so low, you might as well do whatever you want, right? And so it was actually pretty liberating to be like, well, they're never gonna hire me. And then I was just free to, and then so then whatever I did, it just like, it happened organically. And then that's the thing that makes them hire you. So definitely. And then the other way, I had an audition for, you guys remember the show Glee on Fox, the musical? So I had an audition for Glee. I can't sing. We established that, right? But at that point, I'd been on a couple of TV shows, so no one cared, I guess. I don't know, auto-tune, whatever it was. They ended up hiring people who could sing, which I think was the right choice. But I had an audition for Glee. I don't even remember which role, and I read the script, and I remember going, I think I get it. Like the tone of it is so specific, and you get it on paper, right? So I was like, I think I get it. And I learned the lines, and I prepped a character, and I went in, and I was doing the audition, and I was a page. There were like 10 producers in the room, like producers, writers, and a network executive or whoever. Like, I don't know. The room was full of people who looked like they thought they were important. And I was like a page and a half in, and I'm like, the casting director's there, and you're like reading, and they're all sitting. And about a page and a half in, I just stopped, and I just went, guys, I love this script. I think it's so clever. I'm so excited to watch this show. I'm not sure I quite get it. I'm not your girl. Like, I want to get it because I love it, and I love what you're trying to do, and I feel like I almost get it. But you don't need someone who almost gets it. You need someone who gets it. And I just feel like that's not me. So I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna make you. We have lots of people waiting. One of them's gonna be great. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna go now. And they were all like, what?
But wait, we can fix your voice. Hold on.
Wait, what? Yeah, they were just like, and then there was this shift in the room, and all of a sudden, they were all like so present and so respectful, and they were just like, great. Thank you so much for coming in. It was so nice to meet you. And then before I had even gotten across the lot to my car, my manager called me to say the casting director just called her to say that they had run out of the room after I left to ask if I wanted to read for a different part. Like, does she get that one? This one doesn't sing, and like, does she want to come back? Like if she doesn't get that part, she can, because I was so honest with them that I think they really responded to that. And I think they also understood that, like, I just knew, like, I was okay having limitations. It doesn't make us less, right? And so I said, and then I said no, and I said, tell them thank you so much, and I really appreciate it, but I'm the same answer about any role in the show. It's the show as a whole. It's just like, it's just not, they need somebody who really gets it, and just tell them thank you so much. So, wow, I had that too. Yeah, you have a question? Are you asking, like, if I, like, from scratch, like, how would I get an agent? How would I, like, yeah. Yeah. Knowing what I knew 5 minutes into the business, I tell parents to take your children and run. I tell parents not to let their kids be on a set until they're 18 years old. I don't care what anybody says. Unless you're going to be there every second. And by every second, I mean, if you can't see your kid and your kid can't see you, don't do it. That's the first thing. That's just me. But I think I'm not don't love social media. Like, I'm not good at it. It doesn't feel natural to me. Like, I'm the last of the Gen Xers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't know. So I don't know about how to go about it that way. I will say though that I love, for me, like, I love being a student, and I want to be ready, and I want to be the right person for the job, right? Like, it depends what you want, because if what you're trying to be is famous, there's a million ways to do that, right? But if what you're trying to do is be good at the thing you want to do and actually really do it with some integrity, then for me, what that means is I want to study. I want to work with the best people. I want to learn from the best people. So what I would be doing now is probably the same thing I was doing then, which is just taking classes and workshops and trying to get on a set and do that. I'm not sure that I would be the right person to say anything about how to use like technology now, because I can barely organize my email inbox. Yeah, and it's a really good question, and somebody somewhere, I hope, is giving a good answer to it, because I know that there are ways that you do that. I know that there are lots of creative people using social media, using YouTube, the internet, all that, to like make content, make themselves known. Musicians especially. Yeah, so I think it's a great resource. I'm just the wrong person to know what to do with it.
Well, this has been a very informative. Why's your hand up? You don't have no question.
Yeah, no, please. What's it called? Kneecat? Thank you. That's awesome.
You can use ring footage from your kitchen. I put my head in the microwave too many times. It's just we're viral.
I won't even allow, like, my phone, your phone is always listening. There's nothing I can do. My house is listening to me whether I want it or not, but I don't even bring like an Echo or an Alexa or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, someone brought one home once. I was like, get that thing out of here. Like, I can't.
Well, unfortunately, our time together is over. But not really, because you're going to be out signing autographs, taking selfies, taking pictures, talking with fans. So
Yeah, I'll be sitting at the table. Come by and say hi.
Really appreciate you being here with us, and we had so much fun.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all listening to me and being here. And thank you so much. And if you think of a question and you want to come by and just ask it, like, you don't have to buy anything or whatever. Like, just come and ask me your question. That's great.
And if everybody wants to come and crowd around the table and face that way, we'll take a big group picture.
Sounds great.
Yay.